everybody, what's going on? Jeff Rieger, another episode of the Daily Ticket. This one for Wednesday, November 8th. How's everybody doing? It's hump day. It is. And I will be honest with you because I'm kind of freaked out about it. I took one day off from the Michigan story. One stinking day off from the Michigan story. I thought to myself, we did it 6 times in a row. I could interview my brother about being a wacky Broncos fan, used to be a Lions fan, doesn't believe the Lions are legit. I thought it was a good podcast. We missed one day and so much freaking news breaks out. There were even people yelling and screaming at me on social media saying that I'm soft, that I'm a wuss, that I'm scared, because I did come out kind of hard against Michigan. And now that a story breaks, which could be in Michigan's favor, where am I to report on it? Is this what I'm doing, reporting? You read the papers. Let me take that back. You read the internet. I don't need to report on anything. However, man, oh man, how much stuff has already happened in just the last day. And now we're led to believe that later on today is going to be the big day. Could be the day that Jim Harbaugh gets suspended. Maybe, maybe not. Michigan is ready to fight it if that's the case. We'll get into that in a little bit of time here, but let's start with what we missed, okay? What's happened in really the last 24 hours? We knew when the Big Ten was coming for Michigan, when the Big Ten was going to try to suspend Jim Harbaugh. We knew Michigan wasn't going to go down without swinging. Throwing a couple jabs themselves, right? This happened, I want to say, on Monday at like 5 o'clock. We got the story, and I had already done my previous podcast. But we got the story from the AP. The AP is like the gold symbol of journalism. Nobody ever questions the Associated Press, and if you tell me they do, I'm going to call you a liar. So the AP, Larry Lage, I love him. He's good at his job. Comes up with the story. A former employee at a Big Ten football program said Monday it was his job to steal signs, and he was given details from multiple conference schools before his team played Michigan to compile a spreadsheet of play calling signals used by the Wolverines last year. Of course, we find more information out. You wonder what the schools were. How did they obtain this information? How many other schools were so-called cheating, doing what Michigan is accused of be doing? That's where John U. Bacon comes in. John's been around forever, covering Michigan forever. John tweeted this yesterday. For what it's worth, Big Ten's Tony Petitti was informed today that the 2 programs which fed Purdue Michigan signals before the 2022 Big Ten championship game were Rutgers and Ohio State. Goes on to say, not clear if rules were broken, doesn't directly affect U of M's situation, does raise questions talking about relative competitive advantage. Pretty interesting, right? So it sounds like Michigan's not going down without a fight. Sounds like Michigan's saying, listen, if we're going down, you're going down. And of course, they want to bring the Buckeyes down. So what happened apparently was Rutgers and the Buckeyes got together and they gave some signs to Purdue in the Big Ten title game. And don't forget, that game was a 1-point game at the half. So maybe it worked. So maybe it is a level playing field. Maybe what Michigan did isn't that bad. I don't believe that. But maybe. So that was one piece of news that broke. Just one. Other news that broke while we were away talking about the Lions. How dare us? We got some word on the CMU investigation. Remember Connor Stallions, at least we believe it's Connor Stalions with the spy glasses and the Central Michigan wardrobe. He was wearing Nikes when the Chips were Adidas. He was spotted on the Chips sideline at Michigan State's home opener at Spartan Stadium on Friday. You know what I'm talking about. Jim McElwain, the Central head coach, says no idea who he was, how he got on our sidelines. Nobody issued him a pass. Then they went radio silent. Didn't say a damn thing. People would inquire, What about Central? When's Central going to speak up? NCAA got sick of waiting, apparently, because the NCAA joined the investigation. I think Central's screwed. I think Central is screwed. Somebody's going to get fired, people. Whether it's Jim McElwain, the former Michigan wide receiver coach, or not, somebody's going to get canned. Because the NCAA, you got to believe, is going to get to the bottom of why Connor Stallions was on their sidelines. Did they bring him on their sidelines to beat Michigan State because he is a code breaker, a pretty good one? Don't want to tell anybody. Did they bring him on the sidelines because maybe they owed him a favor, allowing him to record Michigan State signals? Why was he on the sideline? NCAA is going to find out. Somebody's going to take a fall. Isn't it funny? The longer this Michigan thing goes on, people are now starting to take some strays. Central Michigan is screwed. But it's interesting because it might not only be Central. Do you know, and I've seen this on social media, and I've always thought this, by the way, too. There are now pictures. They're not that clear. But people believe that Connor Stalions was also on the Western Michigan sidelines in 2022 at Spartan Stadium, another Friday night game, the opener. So either Connor Stalions just loves MAC schools, loves Michigan directional schools, or maybe Michigan's loaning him out or did loan him out. How weird is that, though? Connor is everywhere. For the guy that nobody knows, for the guy that everybody denies, Connor Stallions sure does pop up like everywhere, doesn't he? What else we got? How about the national media? National media is back at it. Remember I told you last week we played you a cut from Stephen A. Smith? Calling for the Big Ten to do something. Big Ten's trying to do something. We'll get into that in mere minutes here. But the Big Ten is trying to do something. And I feel not until Stephen A. said something on national TV at the four-letter network that the Big Ten might have even been interested in doing something. Here's my fear. I know ESPN is looking to screw over the Big Ten. They no longer have a relationship with the Big Ten. They now carry SEC games. They've lost the Big Ten. Big Ten, as you know, is now on CBS. So more and more talking heads have started ripping Big Ten schools in hopes that CFP games, which ESPN carries, will feature less Big Ten teams. I also told you that now that they said the Big Ten should look into Michigan, and they have, maybe that was inspired by the four-letter network. I don't know if you buy that or not, but maybe. When ESPN talks, I do think people listen. So it continued yesterday. Stephen A. Smith and Pat McAfee talking about the next step that should happen to Michigan. They're saying college football playoff committee should keep them out. Now, yesterday, the CFP show happened. Michigan was still third. But the talking heads of the four-letter network are now saying, dude, Michigan does not deserve to go to the college football playoff because they cheated and they're taking somebody else's spot. To you and me, it's no big deal. We know that's hogwash. However, you say it enough, the CFP, which is not the NCAA, they will select their own teams. Does it make you worry that maybe they will think that McAfee and Stephen A. are correct? Take a listen to what Pat McAfee had to say. This is yesterday.
On Journalism Sports Network, JSPN, I think we do have to cover all sides of it. I think the only thing that we've really found out about is Coach Ryan Walters of Purdue. He came out and said these aren't allegations. These are a matter of fact. So I don't know what all of the videos are going to show, the surveillance videos that allegedly have caught him at a stadium recording these things. But until all those are rolled out, I think it's difficult just to say ban these kids who have worked their ass off to get here. But certainly the way it sounds and what everybody's been alluding to, and the fact that the Big Ten has even come out and acknowledged it. To your point, Shannon Sharp, the Big Ten even acknowledging that this has happened, burying one of their biggest brands, makes us all believe that the evidence is going to be grotesque and that it's all going to come out. But if it does say that everything that we're alluding to or assuming did happen, you're right. I think them taking a spot out of the 4 college football playoffs would be absolute bullshit. And I think we're not the only people that feel that way. I think a lot of college football people feel that way. But until we see it, I think it's hard for me just to say these 18 to 23-year-olds who are playing great football deserve to just get their entire season wiped away because of Connor Stalions and Harbaugh potentially.
All right, so we started the narrative. He ended it by saying, no, Michigan should not get their season wiped away. But it does make me a little nervous if you want Michigan to get a chance to play this thing out and win a national championship. If you want that, ESPN's already said the Big Ten should look into Michigan. They are. Now ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, Pat McAfee are saying, well, you know what? If they're thought to have cheated, they should not play in the CFP at all. Makes me nervous. But the national media now is chiming in on it. The next step for Michigan. What else have I missed? Oh, yeah. Let's get back to Conor Stallions, should we? The Wall Street Journal. This is amazing. How about a little write-up on Conor Stallions? We now have new information about Stallions, the ex-Marine, the code cracker, the Michigan Manifesto. According to the Wall Street Journal, they wrote that Connor Stalions bought a house for $485,000 near campus in March of 2022. $485,000. Now, mind you, he makes $55K. But he bought a house for $485,000. That's a lot of money. Goes on to say Connor Stalions was sued by the Homeowners Association for having dozens of old vacuum cleaners on the front porch. Huh? The association alleges that he was operating an appliance refurbishing business out of his home in violation of its bylaws. So maybe that's how he got money to send so many spies to Big Ten football games to video the sidelines. Get this. Connor Stalions represented himself. In response to a formal summons, he claimed that, quote, whoever has chosen to sue me either, 1, doesn't like the fact that I'm a veteran, or 2, is a Michigan State fan and knows I'm a Michigan football coach and wants to draw my attention away. He specifically mentioned someone named Jeff, not me, hopefully. I'm not a Michigan State fan, who lived down the street and had a son at Michigan State. Stalions admitted that he sold restored items on Amazon. He claimed that he kept his inventory in a storage unit. A judge ordered him to stop whatever business he was running out of his home. Interesting little tidbit, right? Goes on, though. Because as soon as the Wall Street Journal writes about you, people are going to do digging about you. Apparently, get this, it was found that out there's a LLC. And who's on the names of the LLC? Who has the LLC? Connor Stalions, along with Blake Corum. True story. LLC out there, Blake Corum and Connor Stalions. So Blake Corum yesterday was asked at practice, do you have a business with Connor Stalions? He said, no business at all. My lawyer is going to look into it. How is there an LLC with Blake Corum and Connor Stalions? But Blake says he doesn't know Connor, or at least doesn't have a business with him. Like, what the hell is going on? What is going on? I have absolutely no idea. I think I've caught you up. This story is only going to get more wacky. It's only going to get more bizarre. Later on today, Harbaugh could get suspended. We're led to believe that the Big Ten wants, 3 games? Maybe 2 games? 2 games, he doesn't miss the Buckeyes game. Maybe 1 game. Maybe the Maryland game. Maybe it's too late to suspend him for the Penn State game. What I do know, the Big Ten wants to suspend Harbaugh. Michigan essentially is going to say F you. Not going to happen. No way we're going to allow that to happen. So if the Big Ten comes down with the suspension, Michigan will file an injunction, which apparently is a temporary restraining order. Then Michigan will go in front of a judge to try to prove that having Jim Harbaugh not on the sidelines would be detrimental to Michigan football, which I think they could do. Add that to the fact that the court would be in Wayne County, in Ann Arbor. You think Michigan could find a Michigan football-loving, sympathetic judge to get Jim Harbaugh back on the sidelines? I think the answer is yes, they could. They probably will. So even though the Big Ten and Tony Batiti would like to suspend Jim Harbaugh, because whether he knew or didn't know, and we have no evidence that he knew of Connor Stalions and what he was doing that was breaking the rules, he is the head coach, the CEO of the football team, and the Big Ten wants him to go down. Big Ten also, Tony Batiti specifically, has every other school in the Big Ten yelling at him. We're led to believe. So, add it all together, Batiti would have liked it if Santa Ono suspended Jim. Santa said, no, stick it. It's on Tony Batiti. Batiti probably eventually is going to get fired. Everybody hates him. Everybody will continue to hate him. Tough position to be in. And that's where we find ourselves right now. So again, by the time you watch this or listen to this, Jim could be suspended. Maybe he won't be suspended at all. I have no idea. But man, there's been a lot of interesting things that have already happened in the last 24 hours. And I got to believe they're only going to continue to happen. Everybody's reporting on this. There's a reason outlets have so many reporters on this. So there you go. Comment section below. Anything you want to say to anything I told you. How about Connor Stallions and Blake Corum having an LLC together? Like, what? What the hell is going on? Comment section below. What stuck out to you about today's podcast? What do you think happens to Jim Harbaugh? Will we ever get to talk about anything else? I don't know. Let's get to the comments, shall we? As you know, here on the Daily Ticket, we read comments. We read a good comment. We read a bad comment. I love you all. Thank you all for rating and reviewing and following and subscribing. Yesterday, did the podcast with my brother, which was fun. My brother is a Broncos fan, used to be a Lions fan way back when. He made the switch to being a Broncos fan, and now forever, I'm convinced he roots against the Lions. He believes that the Lions are okay. They're not elite. They're not special. They're just okay. They haven't beat anyone, is who he says, or what he says, in the last 18 games. So we did that podcast yesterday. Let me read some comments from that podcast. This one from Jeff Rush, 1586, says the Lions will destroy the Broncos this year. Jeff, I would agree with you. It's a good comment. How about this one? Austin Bros. Love the chemistry between you guys. Your brother is hilarious. Thank you. Edan Drews, 4456. I'm glad you are doing this show. Good job, Jeff. Thank you, sir. How about this one? Pray for Lions Calm. Says, amazing, the best Daily Ticket show ever. People really like my brother, apparently. What else we got here? Oh, I like this one. This is from Jeffrey Nard Ikea, 7615. Sorry if I butchered that name, Jeffrey. The anti-Lion crowd is clinging to whatever they can to say the Lions are terrible, ignoring the obvious improvement in this team over the last 3 years. I did enjoy the Rieger brothers on today's program, though. Thank you. How about that? So many nice comments. Hannah Harris, 3022, says he's just mad Russell Wilson is his quarterback the next 5 years. I mean, that literally could be the worst trade in the history of sports. I would agree with you. How about this one? Hannah Harris again, 3022. Dave keeps saying they need to beat someone elite. WTF. How many teams in the league are elite? They beat an elite team in the Chiefs. How many other elite teams are in the NFL? 2, 3? It's a great point. Dan Spanos says, definitely a hater. I'm with you, Jeff. This is good. Eddie Reynolds, 3722. Cope Harder Dave. And then Jeffrey Nemus says, DCB is a hater. Dave has never, ever been to the city of Denver, and he's some big fan, please. So there you go. I mean, some of the comments, people seem to enjoy the last episode. If you want to go back and watch it, the Daily Ticket, I'd be forever grateful if you haven't checked it out yet. And anyway, that's today's episode of the Daily Ticket. Tomorrow, I'm sure there's going to be more Michigan news. Will Jim Harbaugh be suspended? Will the injunction, if he is suspended, already be filed? So many things to look forward to. Such drama, such intrigue. The soap opera that's Michigan sign stealing scandal never ends. So we'll talk to you tomorrow on the Daily Ticket. I appreciate you all as always. We'll catch you on a Thursday. Kind of exhausted by this story, but I know it's all that we're going to be talking about until the Lions get ready to take on the Chargers in LA over the weekend. All right, we'll catch you tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. See ya.